Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day, and in today's video, I'm going to be sitting back in my not really squeaking chair today, relax, and have a little conversation with all of you guys about the future of the trading card game market as predicted by other speculative markets. You see, earlier today, a buddy of mine and I were having a very lengthy discussion over on Discord. And we were basically talking about the Pal World trading card game and its current state as a quite noteworthy example of a uh, investment frenzy card game. You see, for months now, all right, Pal World boxes had sat at about $50, maybe a bit under, maybe a bit more, but people were pre-selling and pre-buying these for about what MSRP was for a Bushiroad game. And then all of a sudden, in the days, the 4-day period around the release, all of a sudden, Pal World's price exploded. Some of this can be attributed to some content creators talking about the TCG virtually nonstop. Loads and loads of videos were uploaded to YouTube right around the release day. And another chunk of this explosive rise can be attributed to scalpers and speculators and whatnot buying as many boxes of this new card game as they could in an effort to get, well, some sort of profit out of it. After all, it is a hot new brand, a hot new card game with so much potential. Why not get in on it now while the getting's good, right? And this conversation didn't really linger on Pal World too long. Instead, we started looking backwards. Because the thing is, the Pal World TCG isn't really the focus of this video. It is just the most recent in a long, long line of trading card games that have been hit by this speculative frenzy that we've seen in the TCG world. And this speculative frenzy really did start, I would say, about 2 years ago, you know, with people getting really, really into Pokemon and really into One Piece, and they were really into Riftbound for a bit, and now they're really into Pal World for what it's worth. And you know, as the conversation went on and on, we both kind of came to the same conclusion of, this feels familiar. This feels an awful lot like, well, half a decade ago, when there was another kind of speculation frenzy, where every new release saw people lining up to get as much of the product as they could because it promised near infinite gains. Everything was going to the moon. And we're talking today about the cryptocurrencies, the crypto market. And I'm not sure how many of you guys were really paying attention about 5 to 6 years ago, but a bit longer too. The 2019 to 2021 crypto market was wild. There was a new cryptocurrency every minute, and there was always a fresh line of suckers willing to buy it up because, well, this could be the one that finally takes off. After all, this one's probably not a rug pull. This one's probably actually worth something. And there was always some new gimmick. There was some new YouTube channel talking about how this cryptocurrency was the new hotness and it could only go up, or how this exchange was the best thing for it. There were ads. There were paid ads everywhere. People were talking about it all the time, about how you had to put your cryptocurrencies into this exchange or this fund or whatever. And then there was the NFT craze, where these really high profile social media influencers would buy these extremely expensive pieces of pixel art, some for thousands upon thousands of dollars, and got a bunch of other people to buy loads and loads of these digital pixel arts. And there was investing in the metaverse and all this crypto nonsense. Anything that was on the blockchain, it was liquid gold. You couldn't go 3 seconds without hearing about someone wanting to invest some kind of money in, well, into some kind of crypto or blockchain asset because it's been so successful. Just look at the profits that Doge or Bitcoin or Terra Luna, I think was its name. At the time, there was a lot of different cryptos running around that people were just feverishly trying to buy up because, well, it's the new frontier. And you never know what's going to go to the moon, right? Celebrities, athletes, brands, musicians, pop stars, everything. Everyone was talking about it. It was the cultural zeitgeist of the time. It felt like everywhere you looked, there was some new attempt to cash in on the blockchain craze. Hell, I think there were not trading cards. Yeah, trading cards. I think were released around this time, where companies were trying to tie their cards into NFTs or their video games into NFTs and stuff like that. It was nuts. And then all of a sudden, in the span of like 12 months, most of the craze was gone. I think Terra Luna was the first one to go, where it collapsed viciously. Hedge funds failed. FTX came out as basically a fucking scam in 2022. You know, if I recall some of the articles I read around this time, because I was vaguely keeping track of everything, but if I recall correctly, something like 50% of all value for the crypto market, the crypto economy, the new big thing, the future of e-commerce, 50% of that market was just wiped out in under 12 months. Which is a staggering number, all right? Put $100 in a safe and it's a $50 bill by the next day. that's the kind of financial loss we're talking about, on a huge scale, of course. And of course, crypto didn't fully go away. Bitcoin's been up and down since. People still buy into Dogecoin or Shiba or whatever meme coins they want to. What was it? The GameStop, Game Stonks still kind of stuck around. People were always hoping that would go to the moon or whatever. And the thing is, you know, the crypto market survived past this crash, right? It continues on, and the best and most popular cryptocurrencies still exist and are still traded and still tracked quite fervorously by their true fans. But most of the junk, most of the trash coins, the shit coins, the meme coins, and the rug pulls, and all the NFTs and the metas and such, most of those went away. Most of those failed spectacularly, being worth, in some cases, 1% of what they were at the height. And yeah, there definitely does seem to be, to me, and to a few others, this kind of similar fervishness, the similar hunger in the trading card market right now, where people are rushing to get their hands on whatever they can. Because you got to grab it now, because you never know what's going to go to the moon. You never know what's going to be the next big thing. These collector boxes for Magic, they could go up. Any One Piece product, it could go up. Any One Piece single to the moon. Riftbound. Do you remember when Riftbound was hot and fresh and was super expensive for a bit? Do you remember, looking at the Poke, what was it, Poke stocks or whatever? There was some tracker thing that people were talking about for a bit. Yeah, it had to be Pokestocks, right? Anyway, there's people talking all the time about various new card games that are coming up and what you should invest in, what you should buy, because this is the new hot thing, right? And I was, kind of, I don't want to say alarmed, because I know how things are. Things go up, things go down, and the strong games survive regardless of the quality. But, as we talked the other day about in the Pal World game, if enough damage is done because of rampant and unwise speculation, sincere damage can be done to a card game before it's even had a chance to find its audience. You know, if you look out at a card game and you see its booster boxes are 3 times MSRP while it's not moving any singles on the secondary market, that worries me. That tells me that there's more people investing in the sealed product, hoping to offload it onto fans at a later date. Meanwhile, there's no fans being formed right now when it matters the most, when the game is fresh and new and needs to get as much fan support as it can. You know, I do worry that this kind of trend will continue into other promising games that I am keeping an eye on in the future. You know, I do always hope that the Neopets TCG will come to TCG Player. I hope that TCG Player, if you're listening in, I very much hope that you'll add the Neopets card game to the platform. I would like to buy and sell Neopets cards on the platform. It's a good game, I promise. But what if it does come to the platform? And what if people see it as the new big thing, the new big investment? You know, the old Neopets game is so much money, right? You know, those old boxes are worth way more than they used to be. What if people buy that up? And I'm no longer able to enjoy Neopets just as a collectible or as something to buy and sell because there's none available on the market for a reasonable price. That would suck. There's this new Chaotic TCG coming out in just a few short months. I think it's October, right? Chaotic is coming out in October. What if I'm unable to get a case? I would like a whole case of Chaotic, okay? For myself, I would like a case and a box to open for the channel, and a case for myself to enjoy, because I've been going back looking at the videos of the old Chaotic TCG. If the new one is anything like the old one, I'm going to enjoy it a lot. And I'd like some stuff to crack slowly. What if I can't get a hold of any? That'll suck. There's the new Cyberpunk TCG, already proven to be super exciting. Loads of people funded it. Loads of people supported it. It's like the most backed TCG on Kickstarter ever by a wide margin. Super successful. What if that hits and the fervor and the hype around investing in the new hot TCG, the hottest TCG, if you look at the Kickstarter numbers, what if the hype buries the game under this absolute deluge of speculators who drown out all the fans, all the players, the collectors, etc.? That is a genuine, legitimate worry I have, because the crypto market, okay, for all its ups and downs and its flaws and its benefits, the crypto market doesn't have a practical use in any way that I've seen really demonstrated, you know? People can say that, oh, crypto is a store of value, oh, crypto has these nice off-grid uses and all that jazz, but at the end of the day, you can't really do anything with your crypto, right? The TCG market is not the same. The trading card market is not the same. Trading cards, collectibles in general, they have a use. You can play with them, you can display them, collect them, enjoy them, etc. Trading cards are game pieces. I know that there's going to be people out there who want to meme on and joke about the game piece argument when it comes to card games. And in their defense, the game piece argument is a weak one, because most TCGs have so many cards printed that you will be able to get cards to play with. Just look at Pokemon. Pokemon box prices for a lot of sets are through the roof. You can still get most of the cards in those boxes for very cheap and build tournament viable decks for under $50. Crazy stuff. But if people are disincentivized from even trying a new card game because of the sheer expense of the actual boxes, if there's no singles being added to the market because the people who have the boxes aren't being incentivized to open the boxes, because there's no people buying the singles, because there's no people seeing any reason to get into the game when its price tag is so inflated, you know, when that's happening, I do legitimately worry that there could be damage done to some really awesome card games. And there's so many card games out there that are actually legitimately awesome. I talked about Shard Bugs here on the channel just a bit ago, and it's a very fun game. And I hope it kicks off. I hope it becomes a really big thing and gets to be sustained for a long time. But I think the worst thing that could happen to it right now is some social media influencer at 3 o'clock in the morning putting out a video going, yeah, man, I love Shard Bugs. I've always loved Shard Bugs. Let me show you my awesome Shard Bugs pools on the live stream tonight. Get on Whatnot. This video is sponsored by Whatnot. Get on Whatnot and watch me do a live pool and all that jazz, and it'll be a feeding frenzy on shard bugs, you know, or any card game. There's a lot of really good ones out there that fly under the radar. You know, Flesh and Blood, Force of Will, Shard Bugs, Neopets. It happened in Power World. You know, and it's not just the new stuff. There's old stuff too that's really good, really worth collecting, I think. I'm still working on my Mega Man TCG collection. You know, I'll cry of it if Mega Man old boxes become so expensive that finishing my Mega Man collection becomes impossible. That would make me really sad. But more to the point, it's not just about the potential of the stuff rising up to a point where it's unobtainable. It's about what happens when all these people are buying all these different card games and hoarding them and sitting on them, and there's no exit, there's no liquidity, there's no option to offload it, because most people will have a price point beyond which they're absolutely unwilling to engage with the product. I had a conversation with an old friend of mine, okay, forever ago. Actually, I'm remembering this as I talk in this video. A very long time ago, I had a talk with a buddy, and he said something along the lines of, Black Lotus is the best Magic the Gathering card, but it is the worst Magic the Gathering card to invest in, because most people who are looking to invest money in Magic the Gathering or just buy a collectible aren't willing to throw that kind of money at a single card, no matter how memorable it is. That sticks with me sometimes. I think about that conversation a bit. And it's part of why I really avoid high-end collectibles, just because what if I need to offload them? And what if I need to offload some booster boxes? You know, I've got some Force of Will, Mega Man, Transformers, Pokemon, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, what if I get stuck with something that flies up in price and I can't even sell it now because no one's willing to buy it at inflated costs? Well, what happens when no one's willing to buy the product at the new inflated price? Well, a crash happens. You know, enough people needing to sell the product in order to get bills paid. That's going to cause the price to come down. And just like what we saw with the Bitcoin crash, it's going to be rough for TCGs. If a crash happens in the world of TCGs, a 50% market crash would be crushing across the board. Obviously, it wouldn't be equal. Not every Pokemon box would lose 50% of its value. Not every Magic or One Piece box would get a 50% price tag reduction. And that's not what would happen, but it would be across the board, damaging losses in value, would chase away investors and speculators and leave behind ashes for people like me to buy up bulk and cheapo boxes for pennies on the dollar. Meanwhile, all the fans who would have been into those games are chased away completely, because at first they couldn't get into it because the boxes were too expensive, and now they can't get into it because the game died because no one was playing. Anyway, I'm not really entirely sure what the point of this video is, besides my own baseless worries about the future. Like I've said before, I hope every card game that comes out is successful and profitable, and that everyone behind them can find a little niche and a little corner of the market where they're the most satisfied, you know? But I know that in the real world, things aren't always so sweet and simple. And in the game of life, there's going to be losers. That's just how it is. I can only hope that when the time comes and their race is finished, that they didn't have to duck out because they never had an opportunity to reach their audience. That's what I hope. Anyway, that's all I got for you kids today. Please like, share, subscribe. Check out the links in the description. They go to my Patreon, my Discord page, where you should definitely go in, because we have conversations all the time about all kinds of random stuff. My TCG player and my eBay, where I sell all kinds of nonsense. And yeah, leave a comment down below if you agree with me or disagree with me. Anyway, that's all I got. Ciao.